So hello again, everybody. Hello to all of you joining us live today, and hello to anybody who may be circling back later and watching the recording of this webinar. My name is Jessica Ryder. I'm a staff clinician with Counseling and Psychological Services at UM-Dearborn. I also had a substantial career as a professional singer earlier in my life. And because of that work, I needed to really learn how to take care of myself. So self-care has been an area of ongoing interest for me for many years, and I love sharing about it. I'm joined here today by my good friend and colleague and collaborator, Rachel Eggerman. She is a certified massage therapist. She has been in private practice in Southeast Michigan for what, more than 2 decades, right?
Yes, I'm getting up to 3 pretty soon.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But she is a master healer, and she's also a certified heart math trainer. When she introduced that work to us 2 webinars ago, you can go back and check that one out. Some very, very cool and very simple and accessible practices that are very effective for addressing anxieties. And today she's going to introduce us to another body of work called Brain Gym. And I'm tickled about that because I don't know that much about it, but the little bit that you have shown, the bits that you've shown me, Rachel, are so simple and so effective. I really use them. It's ongoing. So
yeah, I love the Brain Gym work, and I first of all want to say, on top of how you just described me, I am also describe myself as a bit of a self-care junkie. So I'm always watching something either online or going to some work, even a day workshop to learn something new. And that's actually where I learned the Brain Gym that I know. And I just want to make it clear that what I know is like a tiny little piece of Brain Gym, and I'm not a certified Brain Gym instructor, but I know enough to be able to share this this original, like their set of prescriptions for a good daily routine and a few other things. And then if people want to explore it more, I know a brilliant Brain Gym instructor here in town who is a very good friend of mine who has worked with me over the years. But to briefly describe what Brain Gym is, it's a series of exercises that are very easy to learn, and they're designed to help the brain function more effectively especially during the learning process. And so what I love about Brain Gym is that they can once you learn their exercises, they can easily be done by yourself, and you can use them just like with the heart math. You can use it throughout the day, and the studies have shown that it really improves your focus, your problem solving abilities, and your ability to just stay alert. Originally, these were primarily the teachings of the Brain Gym instructors have been in the classroom with a lot of teachers that work with students that have learning issues. They actually, a lot of them know that. My brother is a teacher of 4th, 5th, and 6th grade in Iowa, and when I told him I had taken a Brain Gym workshop years ago, he was like, oh, I use that in my classroom all the time. So almost all the teachers I know Brain Gym, and they use it in their classroom because it's effective.
Yeah, and it's not just for kids. I can
right.
I
And
can
so
and
that's the thing, it has expanded out, so that they teach it to adults now, and any athletes use it, and it's very widespread, but it was originally used in the education setting. So
cool.
If anyone is watching this that's an educator or a parent, like I used it a lot with my son when he was younger. I taught him a lot of the exercises that I learned. And just to give credit where credit is due, I want people to know that it is based on the work is copyrighted by Paul E. Dennison, who is a PhD, and Gail E. Dennison. And it is a registered trademark. So I just want to be clear about that. And you can go online and look at their website. They have brilliant and very easy to follow training materials.
Cool.
Um,
So we're a little late for finals week, but but we're getting right in there in preparation for the new term, which is about to start. So this is very, very helpful for students learning at home.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And I have found that when we learn these practices like brain gym or heart math or any of these self-care practices, that it's easier to do it actually when we're not stressed out. And so this is a great time to learn some of these practices. And then as the semester builds, you'll be like, oh, right, I can tap into my brain gym. It'll already be part of your routine, and it makes it easier to
So
tap
it's
into.
actually perfect timing.
Exactly. So overall, within the brain gym teachings, they teach a set of 26 exercises that help to balance the brain. Today, I'm just going to focus on 4 of the daily exercises that they recommend you do throughout the day. Once you learn them, it really takes less than 5 minutes at a time, and they refer to these exercises as PACE, P-A-C-E, which stands for positive, active, clear, and energetic. So there's 4 tenets of it. And the first one that you start with is water. You always drink water because our brain, if you're working to balance the brain, first of all, our bodies are over, it depends on your age and your gender, but they are over 50% water.
Wow.
And you know, babies have the highest content of water in the whole brain. And then it changes throughout our life. And the brain itself is comprised of more water than any other organ in the body.
What's that funny thing in your water there?
Oh, this is my little slice of lemon.
Oh, okay.
I like fresh lemon or fresh lime in my water, and so I always get organic so that I'm not putting chemicals in my water on top of that. But so if you don't have organic lemon, I would not recommend putting the actual lemon slice in the water, but just squeeze a little fresh lemon in there. And that actually, from other things that I've studied, is really good for our digestion, but we're not going to go into that today. Ideally, you're drinking filtered or spring water. Those are the best. I want to quickly review some of the signs of dehydration, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And people, as a massage therapist, I will tell you that I can put my hands on your body and feel if your tissue is dehydrated.
Wow.
There's a sticky quality to it and when I ask people, I'll say, oh, are you drinking water? They're always shocked that I can feel. There is such a difference. And when people are well hydrated, even if they're, have other health conditions, the tissue is so much easier to work with.
Wow.
So,
so if that's happening just in my arm, it's certainly happening in my brain too.
Yep. And I can tell you that when some of the signs of dehydration can be lethargy or foggy thinking. And I have a good friend who she really thought that her husband was developing Alzheimer's. And I said, make sure he's drinking lots of water. And so they made a conscious effort for him to be drinking more water. And she said within a week, he didn't have any of those signs of like memory issues or anything. And the only thing they changed was increasing his water intake.
Wow. Well, we have a lot. I doubt we have very many students who are encountering, who might be potential Alzheimer sufferers. But I certainly have heard often from students they have trouble remembering things when it comes to the test and retaining information and staying focused and all of that. So that could be a key factor.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like if you do nothing else from today's discussion, I would say at least take away drinking more water. The formula that I give people is to take your body weight, so if you weigh 150 pounds, let's say, you divide that in half, that's 75. That's how many ounces a day you should be drinking.
That's a
Which
lot of water.
it is a lot. It's always shocking how much water we should be drinking. I can't say that I hit that water goal every day, but the first thing I do in the morning, I drink a lot of coffee. Jessica knows that I love my coffee, but I actually don't drink coffee for at least a half hour, ideally an hour after I wake up. And the first half hour of my day, I'm hydrating, because almost always you wake up dehydrated. And this is my at home. I like my mason jar for some reason. But
Me too.
Yes, and when I'm not at home, I use, like a little canteen thing. And if you have a water bottle, I'd recommend knowing how many cups or how many ounces it holds. And then you can keep track and say, okay, I know this has 16 ounces. And so I have to drink, 4 or 5 of these throughout the day in order to stay hydrated. So that's my little spiel about water. And I talked about how many ounces. Does that make sense, that formula, Jessica?
Yes, I'm not the whiz kid when it comes to arithmetic, and it made sense to me. So
okay,
I think we're good.
And I'm certainly happy to answer that afterward. And just for people, just as a reminder, because it's half your body weight is how many ounces a day you want to drink, and there's 8 ounces in 1 cup. So I always have to look that up because I can never remember. I mean, I do remember now because I've shared that formula with so many people, but in the past I was like, how many ounces are in a cup? That's what I want to know.
And I'll just say that if people have questions ongoing, you can put them in the chat. I'm going to monitor them and pass them along to Rachel when she comes to a stopping point.
Great. So water is our first one.
Okay.
And then the second one is called brain buttons.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm going to, let me know if the sound is okay as I push back from the screen. But what you're going to do is you separate your thumb and your pointer finger. This is called the pointer finger, right?
Yeah.
I always forget that. And you're going to find right underneath the collarbone is, you're going to put yep, you got it. And there's like a little indentation there that you can sometimes feel. I think it's harder when we have our heavy sweaters on this time of year. And you're going to put that there, and then you're going to take your other hand and put it at the belly button. So, yeah, and you don't need to have it separated like that.
Oh, okay.
Just put it at the like one finger at the belly button. And then you just press lightly in a pulsing manner. So it's going to, so this, and it's kind of, when you first start doing it, it's sort of like chewing gum and tapping your head and all that goofy stuff. It feels kind of weird, but you just stimulate both of these, or these areas for they recommend 2 minutes. We don't have to do the full 2 minutes here, but I just want people to get a sense of how that is.
And that's all there's to it?
That's it.
Wow.
And what I like about this one is too, like, you could do this if you're taking a test. And even if you don't want to put your finger in your belly button when you're taking a test, just doing this right on these points by the collarbone is going to boost your energy level right away. So that's what it does basically, is that it boosts your energy? Yeah, what this technique does is it increases the blood flow to the brain. And it's called, it's also called switching. So it's switching the brain on again. So sometimes what happens when we're stressed and is that, I think I mentioned this in one of our other talks, is the non-dominant side of your brain switches off so that you're only working to problem solve and to think with the dominant side. And ideally you want both sides working together. So
yeah, and you want them communicating with each other.
Exactly. That's when we can think the best. And so this will, what this, just doing this at the right underneath the collarbone creates that, it switches the brain on.
Haha.
Yeah, so that's brain buttons. Are there any questions about that have shown up, or for you?
That was
These are
cool.
so, I love
Yeah.
this stuff because it's so easy.
Yeah.
As people know, like I love the easy stuff because then people will do it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And I will do it too. But a lot of these things I also learned when my son was young because, just to share with him. And I should ask him if he still does any of these.
Yeah, but you sort of, I hope it's okay to share that you also kind of partnered him or mentored him through significant anxiety. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Well, he taught me a lot and I taught him a lot and about that because I had never had that much experience with anxieties before. And he had pretty serious anxiety and panic attacks up until he was about, I think, 12 years old, from about infancy to 12. And so
but just to come back and underline, these are not just for kids. These are just as effective for adults with anxiety.
Yeah, or even if you don't, for instance, this is a great one right now, like when you have to go out in public. It's another good one. Like if you've just been to the grocery store and you're feeling depleted from that level of vigilance that it takes right now to be in public, you can just sit in your car and do this for a couple minutes just to reset.
Great.
So I'm finding new uses for these techniques that I teach lately because I really do have to tap into them when I'm out right now.
For sure.
So the next one is called the cross crawl, and it's another one too that is designed to switch the brain on again, so that you're working with both hemispheres of your brain. And you can do this standing or sitting. I'm going to stand up for a minute, and you'll just have to tell me if the image is okay, Jessica.
Okay. Is your cord long enough?
I hope so. So is this okay, right?
Yeah,
like
I can see you. Yep.
Okay, good. So all that the cross crawl is, if you're doing it standing up, you're going to bring one knee up and the opposite hand goes to that knee. And you can do it sitting down too. So that's all it is. And you do that for a minute or two.
Okay.
So
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it feels great. It's something I do a 5-minute routine every morning, like an energy exercise routine, and that's in my routine. That is actually one of the first things, part of the routine that I do. And if you're sitting down like you were doing, you can just do it sitting down.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, like if you're in a test and you want to use this, you don't have to raise your leg to do it. You can just tap the opposite knee. And you can also tap the opposite shoulder. So you can just do something like that.
Well, that's very soothing.
Yeah. So these are ways that you can use the cross crawl. Like if you don't want to, I don't know, this might be a little bit more obvious than if you just have your hands in your lap tapping if you're out in public.
Mm-hmm.
And what they have found with the cross crawl, especially, that it helps with spelling, with writing, listening, reading, and comprehension, because what it's doing is, again, it's balancing the right and left hemisphere of your brain. We have any questions?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I might have someone who's wanting to say something.
I don't know if this format allows people to talk.
I think you're allowed to talk now. Sarah, did you want to say something? Nope.
Okay.
Guess not. Okay.
Cool. All right. So
erroneous notification.
Okay. So we've got water, the brain buttons, the cross crawl, and the fourth one is hookups, which that's what Brain Gym calls it. And so we'll use the term hookups.
I've heard that hookups are good for your brain, but.
Yeah, exactly. Now you know it's true. So I am going to do my best to demonstrate this on Zoom here. So if you can cross your ankles, cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And that's that. And then bring your hands out in front of you with the back of your hands facing each other. Got it?
Okay.
Okay. Now cross your right hand over your left.
Right.
And
Got
then
it.
you're going to turn this in.
Yep.
And hold it against your breastbone, your sternum.
Yeah, it's like that children's game. There's something about a church and a steeple.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
At least some of us learned that. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I just was never very good at that one.
So,
And then with this one, all you do is you take 4 deep breaths. And then after the 4th breath, you're going to uncross, and then you're going to uncross your arms. Bring the left hand over the right this time, and then take your left ankle over the right.
So just switch.
Yep. So then you just switch sides and you just do another 4 deep breaths. And after the 4th breath, you uncross your ankles, uncross your hands, and you bring your fingertips together and just take another 3 or 4 deep breaths. And that's it. This one, what it does is it calms the nervous system and it grounds you.
I can feel that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I feel that right away.
Yeah, when I work with people, because some of the work that I do when I'm doing the hands-on work takes people so deeply into that alpha state or that, another dimension that I don't want them, I want to make sure that they're grounded afterward before they get in their car. And so I oftentimes have them do that and just sit and do that before they leave the office, and it works every time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so that's a nice calming one. So those are the 4 basic ones. I can pull up a little quick poster to show people.
Sure,
I know
just to help.
Just to have that visual.
Planted in the memory.
Yeah, and do we have any questions while I'm figuring out how to do my screen share?
I'll just say, oh, here we go. There's a screen share.
Yeah, let me see if I can make it bigger. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So water.
Water, the brain buttons.
Oh yeah, brain buttons, right?
Yeah.
And that looks so normal. You can't tell he's doing anything weird there.
I guess, right? You could do that in the grocery store line these days.
Right.
You can at the cross crawl.
Yep.
And then the hookups.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So.
that crossing the feet and crossing the hand, that's the one that I've used when I'm standing in a situation where I feel kind of anxious.
Oh, yeah.
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 Even just crossing my feet, I notice, helps me kind of reset something. You
can do what I do sometimes, like, especially if I'm, like you said, like for me, like a dinner party or something where I might be feeling depleted, is I'll cross my ankles, and then you can even just cross your hands like that and just hold them in your lap. And it doesn't look, nobody thinks that's weird.
Right. Right.
So, that I'll notice calms me because I'm not a group person. Sometimes groups are exhausting for me.
Yeah. And often, one piece of feedback that I've often heard from students is feeling anxious about being in a classroom, and especially anxious around saying something in a classroom. And so these are things that you can take right into that situation with you.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Um, did you have any questions or any other feedback about any of these, Jessica?
Let me just double check I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
Okay.
I can share a couple of things about my experience with water. I tend to run dry, and I know that drinking more water is something I have to really bring attention to. A couple of things that have helped me, and one of them actually I got from our students. I was co-facilitating a group through the winter term. And at the end of each group, we would go around the circle and each of us would set an intention for the week. And I thought, well, I'd better do that too, because I'm part of the group. And so I set an intention. I was going to drink more water that week. And I came back the next week. I had just fallen on my face. I just hadn't done it at all. I had to set that intention 3 weeks in a row. But what really helped me was knowing I was going to have to come back to that group and report. So I can tell you that something that will really help is sharing that intention with the people around you. They don't have to remind you, but just you said it, and so there's this feeling of accountability. Another thing that has really helped me is that I started out with the idea that I was supposed to be sipping water all the way through the day. Well, that doesn't work for me. That just is, and it also doesn't work for me to drink a lot of water with meals. And I've even learned that that's not the healthiest thing, is to drink a lot of water with meals, because it dilutes the digestive juices and, but your thing about drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, if I have specific times of day, for me, first thing in the morning and last thing before I go to bed, I drink a whole glass of water. So I know I'm getting at least those anchored in. And that really works for me. So, and that might not be everybody's pattern. But what I am suggesting is find when and how really works for you. And then the other thing that I would suggest is get yourself a good water filter, because buying bottled water it's expensive. It puts so much plastic into the environment and all of that stuff. But you can start with, if you've never filtered your water before, a very simple one to start with is made by Brita, and their website is just brita.com, Brita.com, and they have a lot of different ways that you can filter your water if you don't want, and if you're concerned about contaminants in tap water, which in Michigan, I think we probably have good reason to just be careful. So that's a great place to start with water filtration.
Yeah, I just use the Brita system at home, and I can taste when the filter, though it gives the system I have tells me when the filter needs to be replaced, but yeah. I can always tell.
You can tell.
It starts to taste really chlorinated, and and it smells different when the filter needs replacing. So I definitely would recommend that. And they even have water bottles now that have filters in them.
Yes.
So that
that's another way.
Like if you're, hopefully this fall will all be, the students will be back in the classroom. And if you have a water bottle with you, you can even, with a filter, you could fill it up in the
drinking fountain.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the other things I oftentimes recommend to people is to get a water bottle that they just love. There's so many fun water bottles now. And if you just have a fun water bottle that you like carrying around with you, then it just starts becoming part of the habit. Like I always have one with me in the car, and I have one with me at work, and
I have my favorites, and that's why I drink out of mason jars, because I actually I don't know why, I just enjoy it more than drinking out of a regular glass. And any little thing that'll get me toward the glass of water.
Right. When I was talking about my friend and her husband earlier, I said maybe we should get him one of those Camelback systems that a lot of bikers or runners have.
Yeah.
Like they have these backpacks that you can fill up with water and just have like a straw that goes up right to your
You
mouth.
can be sipping all day long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel, this has just been great. I so appreciate you sharing your experience with these simple and effective and really helpful little. They kind of feel like gimmicks, but they are all science-based and they're for real. They work. That's probably the coolest part about them is that they work.
Yeah.
So I hope you all will come back and join us next week for the last in this series. I'm going to share a bit about how our voices, the sound of your own voice, can be supporting you to stay centered and anchored and and present, and to really reduce anxiety. So once again, some very simple practices that are available and easy and for all of us. You don't have to be a singer, nothing fancy involved.
I'll testify to that. Like how I met Jessica years ago was going to her for some voice help, and it's been brilliant. It changed my life, really.
Good.
Just to find that power to use my voice.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Thanks for that testimonial.
It's really fun. It's scary. It's scary, but it's fun.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, and see you all next week.
Take care, everyone.